Judge Ashley, it's someone that actually just spoke with not too long ago. She was a survivor who shared her story with this judge inside of the courtroom. An emotional moment for those of us who were listening. Elizabeth Stein is someone that said that she met Ghislaine Maxwell decades ago, but the impact is something that has really stayed with her. And even today, she didn't know that she would find the strength to actually come and speak her truth. Let's take a listen to Elizabeth Stein. Elizabeth, I'm so thankful that you're able to speak with us here outside of the courthouse where you were just inside sharing your story in front of the judge who ultimately sentenced Ghislaine Maxwell to 240 months, 20 years. Can you tell me just what emotions you've been going through today, even coming here?
It's been a lot. This is a day that I never thought I would ever see. And it's been, for me at least, more than 2.5 decades in coming. So I have to say that I feel really strong today. I feel very vindicated. The ability to read my statement to the court and to let the court know exactly what the ramifications of my involvement with Ghislaine Maxwell were on my life. I'm 48 years old, and this has affected me in one way or another for the past 2.5 decades. And that's something that, really, I think the judge and the public needs to hear. It's not just the immediate trauma that happens in the moment when the acts are happening. It's the after effects that ripple through your life for decades.
We heard that from so many survivors today, that it's not about just what happened then. It impacts so many other people, impacts our family. People weren't able to see and hear your statement in the public just because of the rules in federal court. We didn't have cameras there. Can you share a portion of what you said to the judge and what you want people to know about your story?
Certainly. I met Ghislaine Maxwell when I was a senior at the Fashion Institute of Technology. As a part of my schooling, I did an internship at a Fifth Avenue retailer, and it was there that I met Ghislaine Maxwell as a client. We had a really good first conversation. It felt like we were instant friends. We seemed to have a lot of similarities in our lives, and we seemed to both see New York as a way to start over. And for me, at least, they made me feel as if I was a contemporary, a friend of theirs. So it was very disarming to me, and you don't stop to think that someone that is your friend is going to do something like this to you. So I met her, as I said, in the course of my employment, and the first day that I met her, I offered to bring her packages to drop them off to her. It's something I frequently did for my high-end clients. And I called and arranged for the delivery of the packages. I was instructed to go to a hotel that was close by to the store in Midtown Manhattan. And when I arrived at the concierge, I let them know I was dropping her packages, and they let me know that she was in the bar area and she wanted me to meet someone. The person she wanted me to meet was ultimately Jeffrey Epstein, and that night in the hotel was the first time they assaulted me. My involvement with them lasted several years. I would try and get out of their view and try and get away from them, but every time I did, they found me. And it became so desperate that I started changing jobs. I changed apartments, cities, states, and even after all that, they found me. And years of running like that were really hard, and I started to crack. And I ultimately was hospitalized for a nervous breakdown. And that was the first time I was hospitalized. In the following decade and a half, I was probably hospitalized more than 24 times, and it was hard for anyone to understand what was wrong with me. None of the diagnoses quite fit. And I think that when it was ultimately recognized that what I was suffering from was trauma, you know, it was able to be properly treated. And I think that that's a problem that we have in this country. We don't see, you know, trauma for what it is. And women go decades being treated inappropriately, treated for other things. If we could just learn to see what the effects of trauma were, it's treatable. Nobody thought I would ever get better, and I did. I worked really hard, and it's been a journey, and I'm lucky. I'm lucky to have processed the trauma, you know, prior to this. This was public validation for me of what I went through, and I feel really fortunate. There was a time in my life where I could not have handled this emotionally, so I feel very fortunate, you know, feel very fortunate that I never gave up on myself, and I was determined to prove everyone wrong, and I did.
So much strength in that courtroom today. The fact that you all took your story and said it's not just about us, this needs to be a larger conversation about women's rights. Can I just quickly ask you, I know we're under a time crunch and you need to go, but Ghislaine Maxwell said that she empathized with you all. Did you believe her?
I don't know if she's capable of empathy. I don't know if that's something she can learn. It's important when you're conducting yourself in life to consider how your behavior is going to affect other people. And while I understand that she's had difficulties in her life, she didn't have to make the choices she made to pass trauma on to other people. You hear our stories and you hear that some of the victims have had problems in their families and circumstances that may have predisposed them to Epstein and Maxwell, who did not go to pass on trauma. It was a choice that she made.
Elizabeth Stein, one of 4 women who spoke and created the most poignant moments of this sentencing hearing that happened in the Thurgood Marshall Courthouse behind me here in Manhattan, Ashley.
And Julia, I appreciate her willingness to speak with you and share more of her experience and the trauma she's been through. Julia, tell us about going back into the courtroom. Ghislaine Maxwell herself, how did she appear? What did you see when it came to that aspect of the hearing?
She appeared to be a member of her legal team, but for the fact that she was dressed in blue prison garb and had shackles on her ankles. She was rifling through the papers. She was taking notes. It was all happening very quick. It seemed that she had a lot of movement that was going on, putting her glasses on and off and raking her fingers through her hair. And I bring up her hair because her defense wanted to get this court to have more mercy on her, saying that her time in jail has been so stressful that she has lost weight and she's losing hair. From my vantage point, couldn't quite tell a difference in that regard, but that was their argument. And the judge did acknowledge that the conditions have been unusual inside of the jail, that has been impacting a lot of people post-COVID. But here's a listen to the moment that Ghislaine Maxwell went to the podium. This is the first time, really, that we're hearing her speak. She did not choose to take the stand in her own defense during her trial, but she said, "Your Honor, it's hard for me to address the court after hearing the anguish shared in court today. I want to acknowledge their suffering," speaking about the victims, saying that I empathize deeply with all of the victims in this case. And she also said that despite the helpful and positive things that she's done and she plans to continue to do because of her association with Jeffrey Epstein, her life is forever stained. She also, at the end of this, said that I hope my conviction, along with my unusual and harsh incarceration, eases your suffering. Speaking directly to those victims, that to those of you who spoke here today and those who did not, may this help you travel from the darkness into the light. Actually, it was a very smooth delivery of this allocution of sorts that did not go so far as to accept responsibility and her role in connection with Jeffrey Epstein. She really pointed the finger at him, but just to tell you her delivery, she had so much poise at this podium. She almost sounded like a contrite politician giving a remorseful apology in the way that she delivered it. She may have had a piece of paper in front of her, but she really didn't spend a lot of time looking down and reading it. She spoke directly to the court. So that was our first time really hearing her go into detail in a courtroom setting.
Wow. Thank you, Julia, for providing not only your excellent reporting and all the legal aspects of it, but such a thorough description of what she was doing and how she was acting and what she looked like in that courtroom.